All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about The Conjuring Last Rites. And I'm going to keep it as short, as sweet, as simple, kind of spoiler-free. I will start off by saying that The Conjuring may be suffering from Marvel fatigue, because I've been seeing a lot of people online upset about this movie. For whatever reason, I can't see why they're this upset about it. First, quick check. Sorry, I just had to make sure my shit was not recording in slow motion. And I think people may be over the Conjuring universe as a whole, but not me. Not your boy. Your boy was emotionally hooked since the very beginning. So the movie kicks off with a very powerful scene, and it may not impact the casual viewer as it may impact people who have been with the universe since like the first ever movie, right? So we kind of get to see this like very emotional thing happening to the Warrens in the very first like 15 minutes of the movie, and they are really young at that point of the movie, so we get like the beginning of their adventure, pretty much, of what kicks off this universe. And I think maybe the number of films in this cinematic universe has led to kind of a fatigue for the casual viewer, because I was sitting here literally watching this movie by myself in the biggest theater there was, trying to see why the internet is so against this movie. And I couldn't really, for myself, as somebody who has been in this universe for quite a bit, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting the same reasoning and deduction from this particular movie as some people would. Like, for example, the latest Ant-Man movie with Kang the Conqueror in it. People were very upset at that movie because, quite frankly, to them it wasn't up to Marvel's usual standards, right? And Marvel did make it a point to address that and say that they're going to focus, especially in their TV shows, they're gonna focus on quality over quantity moving forward, and having some synergy within the TV shows and the movies. I think for your everyday viewer, if you're viewing it and you're viewing it in the lens of horror movies in general, maybe this movie doesn't really meet your expectations. But if you're viewing it in the lens of the Conjuring verse, this movie falls well within the expectations of that. And a big common theme in the Conjuring universe has always been that these demonic entities, or these demons, or whatever you want to call it, they are usually tethered to an item of some sort. For example, Annabelle's demon is tied to the Annabelle doll itself. There's like a monkey mask that we get to see in one of the Annabelle movies that take place in the Warrens' house, that has their demon tied to that too. And I think there's some dice. You'll get the gist. The Annabelle doll that's in the cage in the museum in the Warrens' house, all those items have, one way or another, they have something attached to it, whether it be an entity or a demon. And various boss levels, you'll say, one of them, the nun's one, I would say she's probably like on a Thanos level in that universe, and Annabelle's doll, whatever entity that is probably on the same level as the nun too as well. Aside from that, I was trying to view it through the lens of like why people weren't so happy with the film, and I myself couldn't really see any of the nitpicks and the critiques, because I do think the Conjuring, right, the title, that's the main title, right? It's the reason, like the CW's Arrow, right? It's Arrow, the Arrowverse, right? So this is the Conjuring verse. So out of the4 main movies that have the Conjuring title on it, I would say the third one is the worst. I would say for me, it'll probably go 1, 4, 2, 3 in terms of quality. So saying the third one is the worst, this movie was much improved compared to that one. I think the story was tight. I think if you had to have watched all the other movies for the little nuances to make sense, because there's a scene where they're at the doctor's, right, after that very emotional thing that happened at the very beginning, and we might start bleeding into spoiler territories. How long have I been recording? 5-ish minutes. So this is your point, I think, because I did flip the camera around. So maybe we're at like 4 minutes of like actual dialogue and stuff. We will, after this next thought, go into spoilers. In one of the Annabelle movies, it takes place in the Warrens' house, and their daughter, Judy, is the main protagonist in the movie, right? Maybe I might be confusing one of the Annabelle movies with The Conjuring 2. I have the computer Also, shout out to me. Oh, fuck. I got a new pop socket. I don't know if you see it. It's a Batman. Let me look it up. Which movie it is. It is one of the Annabelle movies. It's Annabelle Comes Home. So that takes place in the Warrens' house, right? And it's crazy to see after that movie, right? We kind of get Judy's origin, if that makes sense. So we've seen things take place in the Warrens' house. We've seen things take place on like homesteads, and we're gonna go into spoilers right now. The first 15 minutes is the Warrens' first ever case that they've done. They were young. The mom was pregnant, and something happens with this mirror. And the mirror is a common theme everywhere. Throughout the whole movie, it's just mirror. She puts her hand on the mirror. She goes, bah, and then it cracks. And then she goes into labor. That's an intense scene already, because we're already amped up. We're going to the hospital. Ed is speeding in the fucking rain. He's speeding in the rain. He's shifting gears and shit. He's getting his wife to the fucking hospital. The nurse is like, back off, dude. We got this. Power goes out. Baby Judy is born, and we're like, oh yay, because we know of Judy because of the other movies. We know she's alive, but she's dead. She comes out stillborn. The doctor's like, fuck, I'm so sorry, like, your baby's dead. And the mom, she doesn't take it well. So Lorraine is crying. She's praying to God. Like, this is the first ever battle, right? First ever battle, and they somewhat lose, right? Because baby comes out dead. She's praying. She's holding the baby. The doctors and the nurses, man, shout out to you guys, because you guys really had me thinking this baby was dead, even though I knew better because I watched other movies. So they're acting their ass off in there. You know, Ed is just like defeated too, and then baby Judy starts crying, and she comes back to life because of the prayer that they do, right? Remember, this is Ed and Lorraine's first ever battle, and they lost. That's the key component. And they were scared because they didn't go back for the mirror, for the whatever demon was possessing that mirror. They just never resolved that. And that is the premise of the movie. They had left this door wide fucking open, and they tell you that every single fucking movie. They tell you that. They mention it one way or another. Every time they've battled something, they're like, oh, you can't like directly touch things. That's safer in our house. You know, there had to be a reason why they keep all those demonic items in their crib, and this is the reason. This is the reason. And I think it's little nuances like that you don't pick up unless you've been locked into the Conjuring universe and then been paying attention, especially when it was on HBO Max before HBO hiked up the prices and started doing mad bullshit. It's that. Right? It's the little tiny details that matter in this movie, and just witnessing it in an empty theater, witnessing it like being able to fully I feel like it made me enjoy the experience better. And so and this is the only time I've ever related to anybody that would wait until a movie to come to streaming. I'm like, this is the experience you get when the movie comes to streaming. The freedom of I'll eat my chicken sandwich. I was drinking my juice, and it's crazy because I was drinking my beverage, and fucking I kind of can anticipate, and this is probably one of the problems too, I can anticipate a jump scare, and I put my beverage down, and boom, a jump scare happened. So I didn't spill my beverage, but that's just me. I feel like when you watch film, you know, sports talk, when you're watching film, you get to anticipate patterns and stuff like that. But when you're actually watching the movies, it's like watching film. It's like doing a film study on the Conjuring movies, and you kind of can see where things go. And so that's the point that I can agree with the most, that the structure a little bit of these movies is the same. The third act is always like, it's always got to involve some stairs. Stairs is a common theme in the Conjuring movies. It really took me out when fucking Judy got flung down the stairs, and we're talking about in the end of the movie, but I feel like I've seen that scene numerous times, bar for bar, frame for frame, but with just different people in it. So that's a part of why I can kind of not agree, but I can kind of see the criticism of the casual moviegoer, because it is, believe it or not, the formula for a Conjuring movie is quite simple, really. You give us a little bit of a backstory. Check. Baby Judy being born. First ever case they've done. Then you give us Ed and Lorraine talking to a group of people. In the first couple movies, the crowd, they're in like a college of some sort, and they're giving a lecture. That's again part of the Conjuring formula. You need the lecture. You need the lecture to happen. And in the first couple movies, the lectures, the people they're sprinkled in. They're filled. You can barely sit down. You can barely stand in that place. Conjuring 4, it's like 6 people in that room. Right, the hype is dying down because they usually give us the story of like whenever they're fighting whatever, right? And they give us a time period. They give us a year, right? And we're now approaching. We're at like 1984, and I'm like, yo, if there's ever one that's like hits 2000s, it's too close to home. They're in 1984. They're at the end of, I would say, their relevancy in this universe, because again, the earlier years that they were involved, it was exciting for people, quote, except if you're the one being affected and it's not exciting for you whatsoever. But for the people watching the lectures, for the people reading the newspapers, for the people watching or listening on radio at the time, or watching TV, it's exciting to hear something like that. And people swarmed the Warrens when they show up to this house for the very first time, and they're like, "Are you coming out of retirement?" It's like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods levels of like glaze. Are you coming out of retirement? Are you gonna do an exorcist? Are you gonna do this? And that's the third act. You're in the house. You gotta solve the mystery. And I will say, I don't want to keep you guys too long here, but I enjoyed every single aspect of that movie. Not once was I bored. Not once was I upset with where the plot was going. Not once was I nitpicky on certain things. Like, I was really just sitting there enjoying myself, get captivated by this movie. And I think it's important to say, because this is putting a bow on at least the main Conjuring films, right? This is supposed to be the last one. 4 Conjuring movies. Again, like I said, the order would go 1, 4, 2, 3. 3 being the worst one, and it was the one where they had to, like, the devil's on trial or whatever that one was, right? We kind of lost the plot, which happens when you make a lot of movies. You lose the plot a little bit. Like, The Nun 2, we've lost the plot. With La Llorona, we lost the plot a little bit. But I feel like this is, instead of it fully declining at the end of its span of movies, we ended on a positive note. Not in the story, but the overall quality of the movie. So I would watch this when it comes to streaming, if you're gonna wait and do it. It's been a few weeks since actually The Conjuring 4 has been in theaters, and I've just gotten around to go watch it. So, we can say schedule, we can say I wasn't anticipating this movie, we can say there's plenty of excuses of why I haven't gone and finished to see this movie in the theater yet, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad it's Monday, September 29th, and I went to a 3:20 showing of The Conjuring 4, and I do not regret it. I'm glad I let the internet's noise a little bit kind of like push me to not watch this, but I'm glad I kind of like got over myself in that way and went to watch it, because I knew I was going to enjoy it myself. I knew I wasn't one of those people that was upset about how this universe is as a whole, and it is a nice bow on top for the main set of movies, at least. Shout out to the 2 actors, the Warrens that played the Warrens. Man, it's been a long ride, right? And we probably won't get Conjuring movies for at least 15 years, right? At least with the name, like a reboot or something, or maybe more. I'm hoping 15 years. I'm hoping I'm still alive if there's a reboot that ever happens. But man, I can't picture anyone else playing that. That's because these 2 actors have been so amazing and have played the roles with such grace and love. You can tell they love being their characters. And so now I'm sending them positive blessings, positive vibes. Like, congratulations on this cinematic universe that you've created alongside with James Wan. I think that's his name. He's part of it. He was the executive producer on a lot of those. I'm hoping I'm thinking of the right person, because it's the guy that made Saw 2, the first Saw. I'm hoping I'm giving credit where credit's due. But man, I don't know if there's any other like Conjuring verse movies in the works. I haven't really kept up in that space. I'm glad that at least we have the ones that we have, because I feel like regardless if you think the Conjuring verse movies are good or not, I think they're a great introduction into horror, because they're not too horrific, if that makes. Some of them are, right? There's some moments in some of those movies that are pretty terrible. And for if you're watching for the first time, it can scare you, and it will scare you for the most part. But I think they're a great introduction to horrors. So if you want to show somebody like, oh, let's warm up and let's watch The Nun, right? It's not that scary. But maybe for a first-time viewer, it will be. But maybe it's not. And I think we kind of have to set expectations a little bit when it comes to The Conjuring. It's like your intro to horror. It's intro to horror. It's the very first class you take in your 4-year horror degree. As you progress through some movies, you'll start getting different tastes, and you'll start getting accustomed to more scary and more gory and more terrible shit. So I would like to thank the Conjuring verse for being what it is, for being the staple of what it is in horror cinema. You know, we give credit to the slasher films, to the Friday the 13th, to the Halloweens for creating that era of horror. And I would like to kind of give the creators of the Conjuring verse and all their actors and all the people that put time, effort, and love into those movies, their flowers as well, because now we have a starting point. As much as I love those early horror movies that were from the 70s, the 80s, the 60s, even like the 90s, it gets a little bit bearable, right? But even the 2000s, it's where you really want to start, because I would say the 2000s to 2010, golden age of horror. I've said that on the record. I will stand by that every single time. But now we kind of have a more relevant starting point due to The Conjuring and what it's done and what it's brought to the table. So those are my thoughts on The Conjuring. The movie gives us two stories in one. It delivers on both sides of it. It closes the Warren story because they finished what they started. That demon, it wanted to run the ones again, however many years later. It was like, I've been waiting for you, bitch, and we gonna finish this today. And then it's been teased throughout all the movies that Judy does like possess the same powers as her mom, as Lorraine, but we've never really fully seen it. But in this movie, she kind of got to show up. It's got to be a 3v1 at this point, and she needs to put up or they're all gonna die. The mirror that was affecting everybody is done. It's over. They beat the mission. They beat the people they had to beat, and I would for sure thought they were gonna kill Ed off, because he does die early, like in real life. He died at like 74, and Lorraine peacefully died at 93 years old. So she didn't remarry after her husband died. So I for sure thought they were gonna end The Conjuring with Ed dying. Glad to see that didn't happen, but I kind of wanted it to in one way or another. I'm like, maybe we needed that to fully cement that this is over. But one recurring character, dies in this movie. So R.I.P. to that guy. I remember his roles in some of the other Conjuring movies, especially when it came to driving and In the Rain. If you know, you know. I enjoyed it. I'll probably give this a high 4 on Letterboxd, because I think I'm rating it, I'm viewing it in its own bubble, because it is its own bubble. It's its own universe. It has plenty of films in it. So comparing it, it to other movies outside of the Conjuring verse is apples and oranges. It's like pears and pickles. Like, it's a completely different thing. So I'll give it a high 4 for me. I enjoyed that movie. I've enjoyed the story it's told throughout all of its films. But that's just my thoughts real quick. Rambling in the car. It's getting hot, so we'll end this right now. Peace, love, joy. Watch The Conjuring. Watch all of them. Great films to just ease into horror. It's like level 1, level 2 of horror, right? You got 99 levels, maybe level 1 through 6 all in The Conjuring verse. So go enjoy that. I hope that the people that are in the Conjuring verse fandom, you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I think don't take yourself too seriously. Go in there, watch it with the expectations that you're wrapping up a story that you already know the beginning and ending to.